Hello and welcome to another light reading podcast, the Notebook Dump Edition. That means congratulations, you've made it through yet another work week. My name is Phil Harvey. I'm an editor here at Light Reading.
Hi, Phil. My name is Mike Dano. I'm also an editor here at Light Reading.
And I'm Kelsey Zeiser, Finger Guns, editor at Light Reading.
Finger guns a-blazing. Hello, Kelsey. Hello, Mike. Thank you for being here. Who's missing? That would be Nicole and Jeff, for one thing. Of course, Ian's missing, but it's late his time. He is going to be on the telecoms.com podcast. I'll put in a plug for them. Please go listen to Ian Morris on the telecoms.com podcast. It comes out every Monday. And just a couple of hours ago, you may have seen Jeff and Nicole and Jamie Lenderman from Omdia sitting around the table and discussing the SCTE Cable Tech Expo. And they did a really good job of wrapping up the show and talking about, cable's pandemic moment and how it, kind of jumped ahead. The whole industry sort of benefited from the PR surge that followed everybody being so dependent on broadband. But then they, kind of turned it around and talked about how this is a critical point for the industry now. Can they ride that wave? Can they actually do some good and connect more people and bridge the digital divide in some areas like they're, supposedly wanting to? And we also get an update from Jeff and Jamie on the 10G initiative in the cable business and how PON is doing overall in cable. So it's a very good wrap up. If don't click out of this just yet. Please keep watching.
Yeah,
but
we've got fun stuff to say, Phil. Geez, give us a chance.
I know, but I want to.
Came in with these today.
Really?
Yeah,
because you brought our finger guns.
She did. She had them clean, right? So anyway, that I want to do that because that makes it so that we don't have to talk about Cable Tech Expo at all. We just did it. It's all finished.
Okay.
So that's all I have for the week. Except I do want to talk about eSIMs, but I also want to hear what you what's falling out of your notebook this week.
Yeah, Kelsey.
Go, Kelsey.
Well, one thing that fell out of my notebook was a new iPhone.
What,
guys? I kept my
did
other
you
one.
stand in line?
What's that? Did I steal it?
No, did you? Well, that, but actually, don't answer that. I'm not. Did you stand in line for it? Was there a big line?
No.
That whole thing.
I should have,
good.
just for fun. But I got important things to do. So I just did a pre-order and it arrived yesterday. And my husband signed for it. So he said it was technically his. But I got it back. And it said, I was talking to Mike before we started recording, that for the satellite feature, there was a notice when I was, turning it on, getting it updated and whatever, that the satellite feature would be available in the fall in select areas or where available.
Ooh.
So vague notice of, don't get into
mountaintops and remote cliffs, I think, so, right? Is that the only?
I'll postpone any camping until maybe November, December timeframe. And
right. Yeah. Because if you go out now, you're just completely unsafe.
No.
Totally
I gotta pack more than I gotta pack some flares and my finger guns.
Finger flares.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on your acquisition. What are you noticing anything about the performance of said phone? Is it peppier, faster? Have you taken amazing pictures of the flowers in your front garden, or perhaps your dog?
So far, taken a lot of dog photos, which is part of the course for me. But I do notice the photos seem a lot crisper, and there were a bunch of different settings you could choose from, basically selecting your own filters that you want the camera to take. So it's do you like soft light? Do you like high contrast? Oh. And it kind of felt like going to the eye doctor where they're like, which is better, 1 or 2?
Yeah. Right. You have to make an artistic choice at that point. And that's very daunting when you're just trying to catch your dog sleeping. That's you're like, how artistic am I feeling in this moment?
Yeah. Yesterday, Finley was like, paint me like one of your French girls on the couch. But anyway, I'm
sure Finley doesn't mind.
But the end videos are a lot. I actually got a little nervous watching this video of people petting like tigers and stuff yesterday because it really felt like they were coming out of the phone. I was like, dang, 4 years,
wow.
they've come a long way. I was like, these tigers are coming at me.
So just for those of us, people just joining us, and those who weren't listening too carefully. So tigers are coming out of your phone. What just happened? Sorry.
I was just going through YouTube and there was like somebody petting like panthers and tigers and stuff.
Okay.
And it just was like so realistic. I was like, God, this is like making me a little anxious.
These are the video capabilities. Is this AR, VR or something? Or is
it wasn't. It was just like the video was that good. And I guess I've had a bum phone for 4 years and I was like, wowee.
Yeah.
And it was fun seeing in the corner the 5G UW for ultra wideband up there. So
wow,
like,
yeah, you really upgraded.
I know.
Kelsey, you got the fancy 5G, you got the satellite, you got all the things.
The
now.
Spectrum.
Yeah.
All the spectrum.
So cool.
I got to say, the iPhones come out every year, and I'm never interested in them. But now with this one with the satellite thing, like I think that is really pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
lucky you.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
But real quick, just speaking of acquisitions, Ericsson had an announcement today with an update to their Vonage acquisition, which they announced in November of last year, and then they kind of put on hold, and then they decided to go ahead with it. So in July, they said it was official, but stay tuned for more information coming soon to the site about what the update is this week. For that $6.2 billion acquisition. And it sounds like they're really looking forward to utilizing Vonage's UCAS, CBAS.
Oh, the sea bass. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know they were going to go that far, but sure.
Yeah, just the other basses, but I thought I'd throw
so confused.
sea bass in there too. Basically,
you're petting tigers on your phone. You're talking about sea bass. I'm wow.
Had a lot of
Kelsey's
coffee
having
today.
a moment. Yeah.
Basically, they're unified communication services.
Okay.
No
Gotcha.
CBAS were hurt during this
UCAS.
acquisition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I gotta say that I just find that such a strange, such a strange acquisition by Ericsson. I feel I put it into the same bag of like Microsoft buying Skype and Verizon buying Blue Jeans. It's acquisitions that I don't understand why they're making those purchases. Like,
yeah.
And here we've got like Dish Network trying to launch voice over 5G, and they can't do it. Like it's too hard. So.
Right.
This voice calling technology, like I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like I don't get why.
The CEO said it was to a building block. This was back in July. He said it was a building block to their global network platform, which really doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
I feel like, but
I mean, I get it.
Doesn't say a
Voice
lot.
calling is important. Yeah. But
I mean, so was Telcordia, but all that really ended up being was just a bunch of things they ended up either selling off or just milking for revenue long term, so I kind of feel like this is going to be the same thing. Like Microsoft must use some Skype technology in some of its new things, but it kind of killed Skype.
Yeah, you figure it must go into Teams somehow. But was that worth the acquisition?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, was it worth killing the whole?
Right.
The fact that Skype was basically WhatsApp before WhatsApp, it was the de facto way for people to message and call one another outside of the carrier network. And then they just kind of killed it and made it lame. And now nobody uses it that I know of. And that's kind of weird. So, yeah, sorry, Vonage.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah,
sure
exactly.
it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be amazing.
So anyway, best of luck, Vonage, I guess is what I should have said. Well, Mike, what fell out of your notebook this week?
Yep. I think the thing I wanted to mention from going through my notebook was that on Monday, the NTIA held a big Spectrum event. And so for those of us who follow Spectrum policy, and surely it's everybody must be fascinated with Spectrum policy. Phil's looking around. He can't find anyone. I'm telling you, Spectrum policy. And so, NTIA is deep into all the Spectrum stuff. And during that event, they talked about what Spectrum is going to be released next for 5G, where it's going to come from, all that kind of stuff. But the whole event was still couched in that race to 5G language. And man, we do not need to hear about the race to 5G anymore. That is just we need to really, really retire that whole phrase. And
Yeah.
it's still widely used by all the DC policy people to talk about
Yeah.
what they're doing. That is just not what's happening anymore. In fact, and here's my take, is that we should not be talking about race to 5G anymore. We should be talking about race to fiber, because that's where the money's going. All that money is going to go to fiber networks in the US.
Yeah.
And so if there is any race that's happening, it's a race to fiber right now.
And I think the race to better connectivity is like they're missing the big picture by zeroing in on a buzzword, because any of the Asian countries and other countries, the Nordic countries have lapped us in fiber, and so has most of Europe. Asian countries have lapped us in 5G and everything wireless, and will continue to do so. I think there's a point of pride that politicians could take in connecting the unconnected, and also improving connectivity across the board. And there's many ways to measure that, and there's tons of ways to make that exciting and make people feel like we're in a better place than we now than we were 2 years ago. But they seem to only want to focus on the new thing, which is now the 6-year-old new thing that the industry doesn't much care about anymore, because it's already deployed. They're already moving on to other things.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, they, to their credit, though, they did talk about, there was a little discussion about 6G. So,
good.
Even DC policymakers are wrapping their heads around the idea that they are going to have to prepare for 6G. So, I figure we're ending the race to 5G. Hopefully, we'll begin the race to 6G sometime soon.
Meanwhile,
fingers
crossed. The metaverse is still a theoretical, thing that happens in PR reality. The other thing about that is that Meta itself is laying off people because it can't, keep up with its own financial expectations, because it's spending so much time dicking around in the metaverse and not actually building anything interesting. Or doing anything to help anybody.
I wonder if somebody told them about Second Life. Remember Second Life? That we already
is
have it.
Zuckerberg even old enough to have seen that?
Right. Yeah. Maybe he finally found that and was like, "Why are we doing all this work when we already have Second Life?"
So I had to.
It's been around for 10 years now.
Quick sidebar: I had to sign up for Second Life during a college course that this grad student was running, and it was so clunky because our bandwidth just wasn't good enough to support it. So it took forever to get in and out of the program and then actually move around in there. And it was just really awkward interacting with people in there.
Yeah. And it's also just who wants to spend all this time and money and energy setting up scenarios where we get to go and see a shittier version of reality, and you can interact in real time. It's I can do that already. It doesn't seem like there's anything there are, just like VR. There's great individual commercial applications for it. I'm a huge fan of training and glasses that have schematics and overlays for people who are fixing stuff. I think that's amazing.
VR boxing is pretty awesome.
Yeah, stuff like cool. That is fun. Yeah. But I mean, but do you really need, to take that next step, this entirely immersive thing, or isn't that good enough, for what it is?
Just wake me when we have that Star Trek holodeck.
Right.
I'll just wait for that.
The holodeck thing sounds fun.
Yeah.
Another thing that, actually, Mike, you wrote this story about a eSIM startup, or an eSIM company that's kind of, I thought had one of the most realistic expectations around eSIM, saying that it's not going to take over the world, but it does make IoT and other devices, a lot more commercially viable, because you can switch carriers and move them from one network to another as needed. That's a huge benefit. In the consumer world, I think so. I used an eSIM when I changed mobile phone carriers a few months ago, and I did go to the mobile phone carrier store when it happened, and it made the process of switching carriers super easy. Like arguably I could have done it at home, but I just went into the store, said give me your best rate. They said it's this. Said cool, sign me up. I you know said all my details out loud so the guy could type it into a tablet and everybody in the store could hear it. That's very helpful. Protecting my privacy as ever.
Very secure.
I'm a moron. And then once he did that, he was like, "Oh, look," he goes, "What kind of phone do you have?" And I said, "Oh, it's an iPhone. I don't know." And he said, "Oh, cool." And he said, "It's got an eSIM in it." He goes, "We'll just reprogram it real quick." He just a few taps away, and and as I left the store, I was on this other company's network, and it literally took all of 5 minutes. And I just think, wow, that was compelling to me, because the last time that I changed carriers or had to even change phones, it was quite an ordeal. Opening packages and messing around with eSIMs and waiting for the guy to verify it on his tablet, and then go to a register and decommission the other one, and just a lot of back and forth. It felt like a kind of a miniature NASA operation, with all the security involved. And this thing was just a guy in a tablet, roaming around the store. And like I said, it happened in less than 5 minutes. I was in and out very quickly. I wonder if that's going to be the use case going forward. If people are just going to find that they can jump back and forth between carriers quickly enough that it becomes painless, and then once it becomes painless, maybe that adds more pricing pressure.
I'm curious to see how that whole space evolve. I mean, I'm sure that this move to eSIM is going to have implications and ramifications and that stuff, but I'm not real clear how much like quick change we're gonna see. You know what I mean? Early on, I think that. I mean, the big thing to me is that you get a phone, but you have to pay it off. Kelsey, I'm sure you're now paying off your brand new shiny phone, and you can't do anything until you pay it off. Like you can't switch carriers. So
right.
in reality, you're sort of stuck with your current carrier for however long it's going to take you to pay off that new phone, and so. That eSIM doesn't matter in that situation. You still have to pay off your phone before you can switch. And so I think, in those kind of situations, it's not going to have a big deal. But yeah, for probably switching carriers, I have read that if you're going to switch from iPhone to Android, then that becomes a lot more challenging. eSIM, right. Regardless of eSIM. Yeah. And I'm sure that's intentional on Apple's part, is that if they're removing SIM cards, it's going to make it harder to get off the iPhone platform.
That makes sense. It seems like because Apple does have that way of kind of, they have a bunch of very subtle lock-ins that when you take them all together, it just makes leaving anything Apple, nearly impossible / not worth the trouble. And so, that's the big drawback there. Yeah. Changing back and forth between major operating systems is probably a pain.
Probably they're going to try to avoid or making that easy for you at all costs.
Yeah.
Apple will. The one thing I got from that, the company we're talking about, I think is called RipSim, which took me a while to figure out. RIP Sim is rest in peace. That's the name of their company. I didn't get it. It took me like several days.
Huh? Are they dead sim? Is it dead?
Yeah, dead. Yeah, they're killing Sims essentially.
Yeah.
Which because they're moving everything to eSIM right with their finger guns. And but I thought the really interesting part, what I took away from them, was that they talked about, they're essentially giving carriers the opportunity to control their eSIM business, also by being able to create SIMs themselves. Mm-hmm. And currently, if Verizon wants to create a SIM card, they go to their SIM card manufacturers, which are all based in foreign countries. And SIM cards have become sort of the de facto identification standard. It's secondary only to driver's license or passports for most Americans. And so the opportunity for a carrier to create that, key piece of security information, I think is a pretty interesting prospect. And I think one that carriers will be interested in, to be able to control that part of it.
Yeah, yeah. With them having the ability to put, I would think time to market would be a factor there, and they could, once they have a supplier or somebody with a business model that they want to support, they could get to market much more quickly than having to, fewer partners involved, less time to market, and then they control more of the process and arguably more of the profits on the other end.
Presumably, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else that's going on, or that you guys were uh, pondering this week?
I got a really interesting pitch that I definitely think we should cover. Apparently, New York is the number 8 state, best state for fishing. So,
Of pH fishing,
no,
or
actual
oh
circling back to the sea bass. That
oh okay, because I was thinking that was the Canary Islands or whatever, one of those weird offshore things.
yeah,
But oh, good. Well, I'm glad we're getting those pitches in the
yeah,
inbox.
super helpful.
What do they? So I guess, I'm not arguing the point. I'm sure New York is great for fishing. What parameters do you think they used for that?
Well, they've got their full ranking and analysis is available at lawnlove.com.
Oh, good. All
But
right.
it said
Well,
some
I'll
key
be sure
metrics.
not to check that out.
They are 4th in number of bass fishing clubs, 1st in coastal or landlocked landscape, 4th in number of free fishing days, and 22nd in bait and tackle shops per 100,000 residents. So it's pretty interesting metrics there, especially that bait and tackle shop.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm sure they can assert this with authority, because I've never actually seen that stat anywhere, and I have no idea why anybody would want to track it.
Who's compiling this?
I know. Boy, you think Omdia research is beaten down. Wait till you meet the guy who has to track bait and tackle shops. I'm just kidding, Omdia. Don't. You guys aren't listening to this anyway. But yeah, no, it's that's well, I don't know. I guess we could. We'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll see if the rankings change this time next year.
Let me see.
Maybe we need to take a trip to New York to see if that's true or not.
Can you guys guess who ranks first? Which state? Any thoughts?
I'll guess Colorado.
Okay. Phil?
Let's see. New Mexico?
Interesting. It's Florida.
Oh, okay.
Well done.
Let's see. Colorado is 26.
Well, wait, what is in the Grand Canyon then? That's in Arizona. So, but I mean, all those canyons are not filled with water and fish and
Not
stuff.
anymore.
There's no water in New Mexico.
We're a few
okay.
million years
All right.
Go for Butte. That's about it.
New Mexico is 45th.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a bad
And then in
guess.
last place, District of Columbia.
Right, because they just have that pond in between the two monuments, and that's it, right? That
They
one
already
that
drained
everybody
the swamp, so
sticks their feet in.
Right? They're
Ugh,
always draining the
gross.
swamp, so there's no fish left.
Yeah, that's true. That's funny.
So you're welcome for that.
Well, great. I'm glad we're up to date on all this. No, I'm not. Who cares? All right. Well, it is Friday. You've made it this far. Let's see. Next week we will. The three of us actually will be at the Mobile World Congress Las Vegas trade show. So we'll be seeing what the industry is up to from that point of view. I'm going to suggest probably gambling and being really uncomfortable in between appointments, because it's going to be very, very hot. And that is actually a desert. There were very few fish that we're going to encounter there.
Do you guys have a good Elvis impersonation?
No.
No? Nobody? Thank you very much.
Not even close. No, I got nothing. There's enough of that going around, but you know what? I bet we can find you someone in Vegas who does. Several, maybe a whole carload of them. So yeah, we'll look forward to that, and we'll probably do this here recording in a press room in Vegas sometime next week. But until then, that is your notebook dump for the work week ended September 23rd.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening.
Have a great weekend.